Hello everyone, and Seven here, and the September 4th update dev stream has finished, so let's go ahead and jump into a summary. So once they introduced themselves, they gave a bit of a table of contents of what's coming up. We're talking about the lounge, ultimate, Luna, trigger modules, fellow, and then they go into part 2 with some Q&A stuff. So the first part is the lounge, and for a lot of people, you may have noticed that there's a segment in Albion that's open, and this is pretty much prepping for the lounge. And so you'll be able to go into there and you enter a room like this, which is pretty cool. What's neat about it is that there are 3 rooms. So there's this main area here, and then there's an area to the right and then behind you. It's pretty cool. And they went into, you can change the environment of here. So you can have weather, clear, cloudy, rainy, and then lighting is morning, afternoon, evening, and night. And when you talk to the guide right here. So you can have a little bit of customization there. And then for the sitting area, you can have up to 6 people in this room together, but sitting is 3, as you can see there. And then if you move to the left side, you can put another descendant as well as your fellow. See right here, fellow. And then on the window right here, you can put another. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they didn't really show it, but there was another marker for descendant over here. So you can have up to 6, which is pretty cool. Then they showed off how you can interact when you walk up to them. Let's see, right now they're reading books. They'll wave at you and all that, a little bit of interaction. And then what's so cool too is that these walls here show you can put things like your collectibles. So your back blings right here. You can put some your chest attachments. It was pretty neat right there. And so there's a lot of customization they can go to. And then right here, you can put some of your weapons with the skins you have on there, and just pretty much display what you want, like so. So yeah, pretty nice. And so the guide is right there. So you pretty much just walk into the left, and there is that one right there. And then I mentioned that you can put some collectibles. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But you can put a diorama, and what's cool too is that there's little nodes on these dioramas that you can then add colossi, and just pretty much make it like a battle scene in it. Let me jump forward a little bit. So right here, as you can see, there's little circles that you can just add. They added 2 descendants and the colossi, but you can add more, as you see there, and you can zoom in. And then there is like shelvings that you can put in little statues. Again, we'll go into details how you get those, but yeah, you can go into that. And then they showed once you go turn around, there's a room right here. There's a bedroom, and you can put a descendant here if you want. And then to the right is collectible display stands and attachments right there. And then depending on who descendants you have and all that, you can have them do different poses and all of that. Let's see here. So the next area, so I jumped up a little bit here. Let me see if I can. Okay. So there's another room right here that you can just put a massive diorama. Pretty much the same thing in the main room, but just if you wanted to be separate, there's the bedroom right there. And then this guy right here is pretty much like ETA, so to speak, but it's in your lounge area. And so you can get tokens, and then as you can see here, you can purchase the Gravewalker and all that. But as you can see, there are different tiers and levels as you go, and the way you attain these coins is just through daily runs and just activities, which is pretty cool. And then there's some boxes you can get, and just like RNG, you can get a chance of getting those dropped. Next on the docket is Ultimate Luna right here, and they showed off a little bit of a trailer. So let's see if we can go ahead and I'm jumping way ahead. But yeah, I like the look, and this is her alternate skin, the black and yellow right there. Yeah, one of the ultimate skins that actually, I'm like, okay, that actually looks pretty nice. Okay, so that is Ultimate Luna. And then with that comes the Luna story, which I'm looking forward to. So it's going to show a little bit of backstory of how she got it and a little bit backstory on some stuff. So it's going to be pretty cool as always. Then they showed off the look right here. My personal, they didn't really go into the color schemes, but I'm thinking that this little sheer look right here could probably be color changed, which I think some people could have some fun with and make it look very unique to her own. Then they went into the Transcendent modules, which this one is pretty cool. So Battlefield Concert, so modify a unique weapon to inflict debuffs on enemies. When using enhanced skills, deals damage to the enemies and temporarily stops note usage. And this one is a bit crazy. So they ran into some technical difficulties, but after a little bit here, they got it working. Let's see here. So if you notice the UI for those who play Luna is no longer going up like this, but it's on the side. And yes, she basically has a machine gun, as you can see here. So they're just going to show off some of the abilities, and this one is just a massive blast of energy like that. Yep, there we go. So that is that Transcendent mod, and yeah, it is a bit ridiculous right there. Then we go into the next one right here. And so this one removes unique weapon and modifies the effects to grant firearm buffs to self. So if you're wanting to go gun Luna, you can use this Transcendent mod right here. And what's so cool too is that the fourth ability is basically a taunt. If you notice right here, there's some little hearts that come up. And so since they're in the training area right now, they don't move, but they said that when you have that, they will just move slowly and not attack you, which is pretty cool. So yeah, you get buffs for your weapons. So if you want to just shoot your guns, you can buff yourself, which is very handy as well. Also, you can grapple while in the machine gun state, which is pretty cool. Here's a little bit of a shot of the alternate skin for Ultimate Luna. I personally like the headpiece. It looks pretty nice, and just the overlook fits her pretty nicely. Then we jumped into some, let's see here, let me take my notes. We went into some trigger modules right here, and this one is interesting. It's called the Blazing Zone. And this is for people who with the toe. For those who do not know what the term toe means, it's pretty much like a black hole. So basically Lepik and Nell are able to use this, and it pretty much creates a fire blaze zone. And they demonstrated with Lepik right here. So let me jump back a little bit here. Yeah, so there's a little aura right here, as you can see. So it just gets a little bit extra damage. So instead of just only gravitating right here, you can actually deal some extra damage, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and show that. They get sucked in. Oh, never mind. They're showing off that with the explosive stacks with this build, you can actually have them sort of gravitate into the field as well. So see how they all grav. So you can have some of those just gravitate to them, which is pretty cool. Let's see here. The next one is the tactical acceleration, and this one is when you supply, it removes the reload animation for a little bit, and this is a Enzo only mod. So for those who are Enzo focused and all that, you can basically just shoot, which is pretty nice. So right, let's see here. Yeah, right about here. Oop. So they're going to equip it. There you go. And then when you use your fourth ability, it's going to pretty much just give you that. See how you notice you can't reload, or you don't have to reload. So if you can just adjust your duration on it, I think you'd have some really fun builds with Enzo. So that is that mod. And then we have the last one, which is pretty nice. It's the Storm Bullets. Let's see if they can highlight it for us real quick. So hitting an enemy with a piercing projectile type skill spawns Eye of the Storms at the location that deals continuous damage. Now this will work for Nell, Serena, and Sharon because their abilities pierce through enemies and continue and all that. So you can work with Nell, but then what they showed really cool is that it works well with Sharon and all that. So if you use your there, see how you can just create a big vortex in there. So for those Sharon mains and all that, for your ad clearing will be even more ramped up because of this new trigger mod, which is pretty nice. Okay, now jumping down to ultimate modules. These are pretty nice. For every second buff on self grants critical point critical defense, but movements so it's negative for defense, but movement speed and skill power modifiers up by 5 stacks. So I'm thinking more if this you're Eugen or if you're Luna buffing yourself with her new Transcendent mods. It's just she's going to be just a wrecking ball machine, which is going to be nice. This one right here is definitely going to be an Ajax and what's his name, Kyle mod, because landing a skill attack deals 85% of your defense as additional damage to the target. So if you're running defense builds, you can just land like a truck. And then life on the edge, when HP is 50% or lower, skill critical hit damage is a plus 106%, which I think we all know will be work for Glay. So yeah, really cool new mods that we'll be getting in September. They went into the fellow, which let's see here. Here we go. Oh, he went into the skins. Right. Yep, so you can have a space doggo, which is pretty cool. They should have shown. Here we go. So each doggo, as you know, has different abilities. The sheepdog has being able to heal you, and for the lab, you can get ammo back. Now with the Husky, if you notice, fellows automatically recover Descendants MP every 30 seconds. So for those who are needing MP regeneration and are having a hard time getting those MP orbs, you can now use your Husky to be able to generate that. So yeah, he's going to be a lot of people's favorite dogs moving forward. Now, so some quality of life improvements. Leaderboards, view Descendants, inventory filters, party searching, hover bike features, wall crusher, and then battle as daily challenges. So what they mean by the leaderboard viewing is that if you want to see what the builds for the top 5 players for a particular activity, you can examine them. Now, this is sort of like a screenshot. You can't actually examine what they're using right now, but at the time of when they completed it, which Descendants, what the weapons, what are their abilities that they used, and all that. So you can get a sort of an idea of what they used. So you can use that as sort of like build theory and crafting and all that. And then this one is a big, huge one that a lot of people are looking forward to, is you can do a search menu now, which is very nice. So instead of having to cycle through all your components and all that, you can just search it, which is very nice. And then they had an advanced feature. Let's see here. Are they going to show it? No, that's the Blair, they were going to show the advanced feature as well, which was a nice, here we go. So this is the advanced feature that you can do. So you can choose external components and you can just add different elements, as you can see right here. So HP, max MP, and then you can find it filtered through there and all that. And that's through this little button right here, which will have some icon for. But yeah, search and advanced search, very nice. And then they just work on the party system right here, where you can search for particular activities. And then this is a pretty cool feature, recommended party members. And so this is going to be based on your mastery rank. And so you're, instead of having to jump into like high level people and just get carried or something like that, you can get recommended these people who are in your level, which is, I think, is a pretty cool touch. Let's see, hover bike features improvements. So this mainly ones for those who are like Luna, and just like if you're in the middle of using your fourth ability as Galay or Freyna, you can summon your hover bike and that will cancel it, because apparently there's some issues with that. Wall crusher contribution calculation improvements. I didn't know there was actually contribution of how much damage you're based off, but apparently the higher the damage you contribute, the most you get points. I don't quite understand that, but they're apparently adjusting that as well. And then a battle pass daily challenges requirements. This is mainly for people who've been trying to do things but they're not able to, and they're working into everything is based on mastery rank. So if you are a low mastery rank, you're not going to have to deal some of the higher tier requirements like a mastery rank 20 person. So I think it's pretty cool that they're implementing mastery rank as more integrated into the systems, which I think is a good move for them and all that. And then they are Descendant improvements. They are going to be working on Ultimate Lepic, making sure that he is a little bit more up to speed. They said his firepower as well as his movement will be adjusted. They didn't go in too much detail. Again, they're probably in the works of trying to get exactly what that is, but there'll be future dev streams as the time gets closer to him getting released with that new changes. But for you Lepic players out there, there is going to be some change, and hopefully for the best. And then they also mentioned that Freyna, Bunny, and Blair will also be improved on to be level updated and all that. So yeah, if you play Freyna, Bunny, or Blair, you will be getting updates and see better. Okay, so they went in through some of the skins section right here. So this is Luna's new like where you spawn in right here. We'll just show that real quick. Oh, they're doing the back bling. So that's the back bling right there for Ultimate Luna. And then they're going to do the spawn right here. Very fitting for Luna. Kapow. Yeah. Then they showed off Serena skin. I've got a few comments in my chat saying that looks like Mercy from Overwatch. Right there. So it does make sense right there. Let's see here. Yeah, so we got Serena, and then we have the lounge skins right here, and then we have a robe skin right there. Let's see here. We're jumping over to events. So there's going to be quite a few. There are going to be 3 of them. So Sing Along with Luna, this one is pretty neat. You get photon imprinter, catalysts, and you get some back attachments, a sieve. So basically decking out your Ultimate Luna pretty much with this event, which is pretty cool. Now this one here is for the lounge. So if you complete these rewards right here, you'll be able to get the coins to be able to give to this little adorable guy right here. Yeah, so just a nice way of boosting and getting your decorations into your lounge. And then the last one right here is a 14-day login event, And what's cool too is if you notice right here, the Luna reward boxes, you have 1 and 2 of these. These will be boxes that will have guaranteed pieces for either Luna or the Husky. So if you're struggling with trying to get them, because both the Husky as well as Luna are going to be grindable in Axion, and sometimes those drops are very, very low. So the Luna reward boxes will be able to help you with that. And that is the events. And let's see here. Yep, they went into then some Q&A right here. I'll see if I can do some rapid fires. There's some really good stuff here. So let me see here. Apparently there's an option for the shower in the lounge. Haley, there's some people who are asking about Haley changes and getting her buffed. They did mention about an ultimate Haley. They did not say a date, but there's an ultimate Haley in the works, and they're wanting to get her level to the same as Serena. So if you play Serena a lot, expect Haley to be at that level that they said. Serena, speaking of which, is not getting a nerf. Their Descendants, they're wanting to get, actually Serena is going to be the new level points for the other Descendants. So they said they want to get other Descendants to match her damage output, to be able to take on like Wall Crusher, they said. So that's interesting. They did hint at collabs. They are not mentioning who they are collaborating with, but they are in talks. Axiom plane optimization, they said for the most part is pretty much fixed, like at 80%, but they are still working on improving optimization and all that. There was mention of dungeons, and they said it's not going to be here in the September update, but in October and November there will be some dungeon releases. There was an ask about being able to rewatch the cinematics in the lounge, and they said that is a great idea. They have already been talking to the team, and so that is in the works. Apparently some sound issues with Vulgus. Didn't quite understand it, but they mentioned something about Forge, but they said they will talk about that in the next Dev Live. For the Sharon mains out there, apparently there was a bug with the faceplate, but they are looking into it. There was a question about having infinite mode, and they're looking into it, but they're like it can be a little bit complicated. Trading is confirmed to be in November. Ultimate Eugen rework, because there is Ultimate Eugen coming, they said it's going to be a slight change. It's not, because he's mainly focused on support. He's not built for damage, so he is going to have some damage changes, but still be expecting to be support mainly. There was a question about RK tuning, if there was another page, because they have mentioned that in the past, but at the current time they're trying to make sure the current RK page is balanced, because like they give an example that Keelan, you have to go through an MP line just to get to his build, and they're like, Keelan doesn't really need MP, you know, so those are wasted points, and so they're trying to work on getting that balance for RK tuning. And photo mode, which is pretty cool, looks into more lighting options, which I think is a pretty cool way, and just looking into more options, and that will be in November, they estimated, which I think is pretty cool. They're still working on photo mode. In-game content, they're still just, you know, slowly bringing it out, trying to figure out a good balance of how in-game content and all that. I did wonder about if they were going to do an 8-man lobby so you can take on Wall Crusher with just an 8-man party with your friends. They said this complicates the game in a way where it can be sort of like almost to a point of breaking, because they have tested it out in patches, in test builds, and they're like, yeah, it complicates things. Apparently Captain Harris is in development, so confirmed. For those who use controllers or game pads, as we like to call them, If to summon the hover bike, it can be a little bit complicated and like hurt your joysticks, but they said because there's so many buttons already mapped, it's a little bit hard to figure out. They're still looking into it, but you know, they said they're running out button options, which is like, I get that with controller, you know. Big question about external component rebalancing, and they're like, yes, we're looking into it, we're adding new ones to, you know, sort of fill in the gaps, but the main focus is descendant balancing, and then they'll work on external component balancing. They have been talking about an Ajax rework and rebalance, but there is no date set for that. Skill movement slowing when casting, like VS, they have noticed that, and they are looking into that, and it is being addressed, they said. The idle animations when in Albion, you know how it's sort of like there's maybe 3 different stances where one looks over his shoulder, there's like they look around, then look at their weapon, you know. Those 3 animations, they're looking into changing a little bit more and giving more variety, but again, it's just, they said it takes time and all that, and they said there's a fine balance of trying to find just more aesthetics, like the idle animations versus getting new content out. So it's like the fine balance. And then hover bike tweaks they're looking into and all that. So that was the end of the stream. Hopefully that was a good summary for you. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.